The Immigration Minister has been accused of shattering trust with his department as one of his potential replacements fails to rule out a move. Let's go live to our political reporter Cameron Reddin, who's here in the studio. And there's more pressure over the position of Andrew Giles. It's gone from bad to worse in recent days.
It just won't go away for the government, Kieran. They can't get any clear air on this issue. The question's now relating to the tenability of the relationship between Andrew Giles, the Immigration Minister, and his department, given he's now publicly essentially pointed the blame at them for letting him down. First, over failing to notify him that dozens of visa cancellations were being overturned on appeal, and then second in the last 24 hours, having to back down on a claim that he made on Sky News with Kieran last week, that drones were being used to monitor released immigration detainees. The minister said they were. Several days went by. He then had to correct the record yesterday to say, in fact, they were not used at any point. The opposition says that pushing the department out there and pointing the finger at them as where the blame lies is only damaging trust between department and minister, arguing something needs to give in order to restore that relationship.
Now we have a serious breakdown between the minister and his department. How are you going to have a serious relationship with your department when you've thrown them under the bus twice and there is now no trust between you and your department?
The Prime Minister is standing by his minister for now, but in recent days, some Labor MPs have been privately canvassing whether a potential reshuffle or a move for Andrew Giles out of that department may at the very least take some heat off the government. And one name that was raised at the end of last week was that of Veterans Affairs Minister Matt Keogh, who conveniently or otherwise was around on other issues today publicly. He was asked directly whether he would be interested in a direct swap with Andrew Giles, trading Veterans Affairs for immigration. See if you consider this a non-denial denial.
Look, we have a good immigration minister already, and Andrew is getting about doing what is clearly a very difficult job.
So if the Prime Minister asked you, would you take it?
Well, I'll always serve in whatever capacity the Prime Minister may ask, but I'm very happy doing the job that I am doing.
So you've got a minister 2 years in. He had an opportunity to shut that down this morning and say, I'm not going anywhere. And what he's done is left it open for his own career instead of putting veterans first. Really disappointed in Keogh this morning and what I've seen him. He should have shut that down immediately, said, I'm not going anywhere and I'm staying here.
So my full interview with Jackie Lambie coming up there, but you can see she's fired up in a big way. She wants Matt Keogh to come out and rule out
just say no.
Veterans Affairs.
The two-letter word, that's what she wants and didn't get it today.
Well, she says it's a crucial time for reform in DVA, the Department of Veterans Affairs, and he's got to see it through. That's her argument. But on another front where Matt Keogh was responsible, a bit more detail on the government's plans to attract foreign citizens into our Defence Force.
Yeah, this is part of the plan to fill that void, that gap of around 400 in the workforce crisis that the Defence Forces are currently facing. We can show you some of the criteria that people would have to essentially tick off in order to qualify for this. There would need to be permanent residents in Australia already. They will have had to have lived here for 12 months. They can't have served in a foreign military for the past 2 years. They'll have to pass all other security checks and will also have to endeavour to become Australian citizens after 90 days. But this would establish for the first time a pathway for foreign citizens, foreign nationals, to serve in the ADF. Much of the focus today was on New Zealand, but also a little further down the road, looking at involving the Five Eyes countries. Part of the timeline mapped out today by the government would see from July 1 this year, New Zealand is becoming eligible, and then others. We can show you what those countries are, from Canada, the United States and the United Kingdom as well, to become eligible from 2025. That's where the main focus has been today. Sky News has also confirmed in the last couple of hours that citizens from any country would be able to join the ADF through this pathway from the beginning of next year. It's not just the Five Eyes nations, even though that is where the focus has been. They'll still need to pass all the relevant security checks, even if that's not where the emphasis is being placed. You don't necessarily have to be from one of those countries. Here's Matt Keogh, the Veterans Affairs Minister, explaining some of the thinking behind this today.
So from 1 July, this will apply to New Zealand, and from the 1st of January 2025, it'll apply to other Five Eyes countries and permanent residents from any other countries.
The reason that concept of other nations is important is because there's been quite some deal of pressure to open up the application process to those on the Pacific Islands, from Papua New Guinea, for example, to closer or more closely engage with our Pacific Island nations. And Jackie Lambie making the point to Sky News a short time ago that you may not be able to simply fill the gaps in the workforce with the Five Eyes nations only, that you need to open up to a broader crowd.
I don't think they're going to get as many as what they're thinking with the Five Eyes. You'd find that most of those that are already here have probably got jobs.
Yep.
You've got to remember that because the unemployment rate's so low, half the problem is that people leaving defence is because they can get better paid jobs on the outside.
So a little more clarity there too, Kieran. New Zealand is from July 1, an emphasis on the Five Eyes nations from next year, but more broadly, it is quite a call out to try and fill that gap. 4,500 roughly, they reckon they're short in terms of defence personnel, and we're looking overseas now to try and fill that.
Yep, indeed. Cam, thank you. Interesting story. Appreciate the update.